Hello, everybody. We are meeting just the agency group of us. Tony asked the ADs and for us to revisit what it looks like to do a route inspection. Zane is coming. Zane is our worksite trainer. He's coming on Monday, and he will be out with us each of the teams throughout the work week next week. So we want to be able to show that we've been listening to what his last couple of trainings have been. So we're looking for good, solid routes that we can start really focusing on the research and rapport whenever we're in those businesses. Make sense? So what can we do ahead of time so that we can maximize our success? We can have a really good, solid route, an optimized route. And we're going to talk about a couple of different things that you guys as agents and then you guys as supervisors can also make sure that your agents are doing well so that you can find as much success out there in the field as possible. Lori, can I get one copy of each of those from you so I don't have to flip back and forth? And then everybody that's on Zoom, I will include these in an email to you, and then I'll pull them up as well so you guys can kind of see that. I'm sorry that I didn't get that out to you in advance. So what we're going to talk to you guys about is this checklist here that you're looking at, and let me share my screen so you guys can see it as well. Matt, I did email these to you. What's up, Miss Lori? I am.
Yep, we got them.
Cool beans. Okay, so we're looking at this checklist. Now, this is my team's checkout list. It is taken from the one that the home office suggests to us, which I couldn't find in my drive. So sorry. I will make sure that everybody has access to that if you'd like. But the things that I'm going to point out today, every AD might have their own take on that, but even just using the home office one is going to be helpful. Hey, Brandy, Wyatt was looking for you. Okay, cool. I didn't know where you were. Sorry. So this is what I give to my team and what I ask my supervisors and my GA to check out each agent Friday and Monday on the top, and then my route inspection at the bottom. And then we'll go through what it actually looks like in real life. Okay, so you're going to speak with your actual AD if this is what they want, or if they want to do the home office one, or if they have something just slightly tailored. But basically, Friday and Monday checklist, you're doing your 10 blocks. Did you do your packs? Whatever you had told me on Friday, I asked them like, hey, how many packs do you need for next week? Oh, I need 20. Perfect. So then on Monday, did you actually do those 20? Or not? Did you make sure that you have enough of your supplies, right? So you do have your post-presentation summary sheets, your benefits fact sheets, your presentation summary sheets, whatever the case might be, section 125s. If you have any enrollments, do you have enough of things like that? And then did you get your activity reviewed? We always do that as a team first thing on Monday morning. Okay. So every agent should be checking those off. Then we go down here and we're going to talk about our route inspection. Okay. So you should have a route inspection for each route, depending on which days you're out in the field. So let's say that Lori is making 2 routes next week, and then Jericho's making the 3rd route because she's going to run a route Tuesday, Wednesday with Tion, and then on Thursday she's going to run with Jericho, but Jericho's doing the route. I would make a note there on Thursday running Jericho's route, right? So I don't have to do a route inspection on Lori because it would be on Jericho's. Yes, everybody cool? Okay. And then I'm looking for these specific things whenever I'm looking at my routes. Okay. And as an agent, you want to make sure that all of these things are checked off. See where it says agent initials? You should be checking off of all of those things on your route before you turn it over to your SA or your GA. Will you check me? Make sense? If you already know, hey, I already did all of these things. Oops, I missed something. Then you can catch it before it becomes a problem. Okay. So do we have defined start and stop locations? Are we leaving our house or do we have a meeting place? So I'm going to pull up a route. So if I'm going to my Epic and I'm pulling up my routes, I can click on that green button. Here's my example route with research. And do I have a start and stop location? I have my house in there. Okay, it's still loading, but you guys all know that. You should have saved your house spot. And then I'm suggesting that I'm going to meet an agent here at this Walmart at Pontoon Road in Granite City. Okay, so my meeting time, I'm going to be there at 7:45. Okay, so I told her that I was going to meet her at 7:45 so we could have our first walk-in whenever we decided, 8:30 it looks like. Okay, so do you have a start and stop location? Your start and stop location, the first spot on your route should not be your first stop, the first business, right? We all know that. Okay, so you're double checking that. Then the next one is, are there any conflicts or overlaps? When we get ready to save our route, it's very simple. It will give you that red bar. Who in here has seen a red bar ever? Yep. Okay, so that's good. Usually that means that you have timing is overlapping, like you have an appointment, or let's say I didn't change my start time. If my start time here was 8 o'clock at the top of my route, and I'm supposed to meet her at 8:30, an hour and a half away from my house, it's not going to work, right? So then I have to fix my start time. So it's going to give you those red bars. So you want to make sure you don't have any of those red bars. Okay. Do I have any scheduled enrollments, any appointments or follow-ups on the route? How do I know if I have my scheduled appointments or my strong follow-ups, my scheduled follow-ups to put on that route? What do I use my layers. Yay, Portia, good job. Okay, so when I'm building my route, let me go back and I'm looking at my stuff here at the beginning of building my route. I saved my layers here, so I have my start locations, right? And then in my management folder, I can see in my work site, I can see my appointments. And then I can see, it's not going to pull up because I don't have any. Let me see that. Okay. And then it's going to show me any hot follow-ups. It's going to show me any enrollments that I might have on my calendar. Okay. And I should use that when I'm building my route. Everybody knows how to do the layers. And if you don't know how to do that yet, you're going to talk to your SA so you can do that. Can we use the layers if we're not diagnosing our leads correctly? You cannot. Okay, so remember, whenever you're logging your walk-ins, you have to mark it as an appointment with the date and time, or as the follow-up, right? As the strong follow-up, hot follow-up, warm follow-up. You got to do those, okay? Because otherwise, what happens? It just turns pink. Is it pink after you've used it? Or is it pink before you use it? Blue is before you use it. Blue, ooh, I like that. Blue new. Good job, Danielle. I was like, wait, what is it? Blue, pink, whatever. Pink. Pink. Okay. So once you have that on there, then you should be able to build your route around that. Everybody cool with that? Cool. Are all of my leads qualified and have they been packed? Right? So we should not have any leads on our route. Whenever I scroll through and I'm looking at somebody's leads, I should not see NA as the decision maker's name, right? We should have a name there. That means I packed it. And then generally it should say in there when we did the pack. Now this is just an example, so we'll see if I actually did that. This is an old one, but you should be able to see that there's no NAs there. Make sense? Okay. What about, are all businesses eligible employees and do they have enough eligible, I'm sorry, are they eligible industries? And then do they have enough eligible employees? So when we're looking at them, if we see Walmart, can we close Walmart? Why? Their headquarters are in Arkansas and we are not licensed in Arkansas. So should I be going to a Walmart to prospect? No. Can I prospect a Wendy's? Why? Because it's a drive-through. Yep, because it's a drive-through. Yep. Okay, cool. So when you're scrolling through as an SA or a GA, or you're looking at your route as an agent, this should not take 1,000 years, right? I'm just scrolling through Lake Drive Logistics, AB Machine Shop, Auto Glass, Godfrey Fire District, Godfrey Meat Market. Cool. I don't see any Wendy's. I don't see any Walmarts, right? Okay. So we're looking to make sure that we have enough of the eligible industries, and then how many employees do we have? Okay. And that's going to be right here in the information. Employees are 8. So if we did our pack and we updated the employee list, we should be able to scroll through. Your SA or your GA should be able to scroll through very quickly and check these boxes. Okay. Why is it important for us as agents to do that before we turn it over to our SA or GA? Yeah, how many people like red on their paper? I didn't like that when my teachers would bleed all over my paper, right? I wanted to make sure it was Well, and also like then you have to check it again too, right? Like, all right, cool. Thanks, Portia, for spending 2 hours on that route. That's not where I want it to be. So now you're gonna do it again, and I'm gonna check it again in another 2 hours. That nobody wants to do that either, right? So because not only are we doing our own routes, but then we're checking yours. Yes. So we want you to be as successful as possible. So we're giving you as many tips. It's kind of like having the rubric before the assignment. Yeah. Okay. Next. Yeah, do it.
I can't help myself. I like sit on my hands. Wow.
Can you guys hear Tony?
Oh. Testing.
Come up here. Can you guys hear me talking, Ryder? Okay, cool. It's right here. This globe.
That guy
the little,
here?
yeah, this.
Okay.
You want to hold it? Here. There you go.
Yeah, I'll just.
Everybody's laughing at you. See, I'm all laughing.
I see. Is it because my head's cut off?
Yes,
there.
that too.
I'm going to talk to you from my torso.
Stop. Weirdo.
All right. So listen, I get it's okay. All these intricacies, whether it's route inspection, the pack, the research, all of the different things that we ask from you, right? I need you to look at it as each one of these things is assigned a percentage value of the likelihood of something good happening when you go to that business. So in itself, 2%, 3%, 2%, 2%, right? But as you take everything that we do as checkpoints and, hey, we want to make sure this is in place, this is in place, that's all percentage points adding up to the highest percentage chance you have of going in and getting to the decision maker and something positive happening. I promise you, everybody in this room wants good things to happen when you go in that business. And everything is designed to funnel things towards that, right? All of the process and the system. So I understand it to be multiple pieces. But the more pieces that we have, each piece is a percentage that you get to add towards positive things happening in that door. Instead of out of the car, nothing about this business other than the name on the door, pull the door, walk in, somebody's at the desk. Hey person, Mary Sue, how's it going today? Hey, who does the benefits here? Or who's the owner? That's Bob. Is Bob around? Nope, he's in a meeting. Well, okay. That's it. So I would rather have the best chance of going to a business and getting to the actual decision maker. And then when we get to the decision maker, being able to convert it. So one of the things we do a really good job of is getting to the decision maker because you're not afraid to ask for that person. That's life. Listen, if you want something, you have to ask for it. Most of the good things that come to you in life, you have to ask. They don't just get handed to you. Things of value, right? Appointments presentation is no different. So we do a good job of asking for what we want. We have the intestinal fortitude to ask for what we want in terms of seeing that decision maker. It's when that decision maker gets in front of us that we have to be as absolutely prepared as possible to make something positive happen from this interaction. Because I want you to think of it this way. How many times will you get to see a unicorn? Probably the once. So when that unicorn comes out, you better have some good things to say to capture it. Okay? You only get one opportunity to make that first impression on that business owner. And let me tell you, they have decided within that first 5 minutes of interacting with you, maybe not 100% if they're going to say yes to you, but they have absolutely decided if they're going to say no to you. And that's what this helps with. So our goal is to give you the highest percentage chance, once we get to that DM, of it being able to convert to either an appointment or a presentation. That's what this whole training has been about with the 3 R's, right? Routes, research, rapport, because we're good at getting to the DM. We've got to make sure that those 3 R's are tight. And that's what this does. Make sense? Okay.
All right. So the next one would be your industry specific, right? So are we making sure that our construction, excavating, plumbing guys, we're hitting them before 9 o'clock? Why would we want to do that?
Because they're outside.
Because they're offsite. They're out in the field, right? So if you see on your agent's route a construction company at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, what's the likelihood of them getting to see that decision maker? Very low, right? Those people are there first thing in the morning or they're there last thing in the day. They're the ones that leave the last, but majority of the time, if you're going in the middle of the day, you're going to get their gatekeeper. Okay. We already said no NAs for decision maker's name. You should definitely have a name there, even if it's whenever you're making your pack call. I don't know if anybody uses this trick, but I think, in my opinion, whenever I did pack calls, if I didn't have a name in the spot, I would make up a name. It could have been the last decision maker. Yeah. Yeah. They are much more likely to correct you than they are to fill in the blank, right? So, who is your decision maker? And they're going to be like, why do you need to know that? What do you mean a decision maker? What do you mean? Is Bill Smith? I have Bill Smith listed here as your decision maker. Who the heck's Bill Smith? We've never even had a Bill Smith, right? So they're much more likely to correct you, and then you're going to get the information that you need, as opposed to fill in the blank, please. Okay. And remember, when you're doing your pack calls, the most important thing that I can tell you to do, two things. One, you talk quickly and talk confidently, speak very confidently, and you always end with a question. So if they say, what are you calling for? Who are you? What agency are you with? Answer the question. I'm with Liberty National. I'm just calling to verify some online information. Just two quick questions. Is your address still 123 Main Street? We're ending with the question. Do not say, oh, I'm just with Liberty National checking in on your online information. Click, right? They're going to hang up on you. Ask the question again. Just two quick questions. Is this still your address? And is Bill Smith still your decision maker? Whatever you haven't gotten to ask yet. Okay. Then are we looking at 2 or less industrial park or suite numbers? Anybody want to know why we do that?
Because there's time for people to get to, because it's like most of the stuff gets at facility.
Yeah. So whenever we get there, that decision maker might be behind multiple gatekeepers. In an industrial park, if you get into an industrial park, a lot of times those are very difficult. You don't want to have, especially as a newer agent, you don't want 10 or 12 of those in a row. It can be very discouraging, right? If you're going to go, it's still good. It's still businesses that we can partner with. Just like doctor's offices, you don't want to have 10 doctor's offices in a row. It can be very discouraging on a route. When's the best time to go to a doctor's office? Lunchtime, middle of the day, right? When's the best time to go to a school?
Like morning.
I would say between I'm sorry, 10 and 2. 10 and 2. Okay. Because in the morning, first thing in the morning, they're doing arrival, right? And answering the phone for all the people that are absent. At 3 o'clock, they're doing dismissal, right? So all the kids are out and they're out in the parking lot and dealing with bus drivers and yada, 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 right? Okay. So in the middle of the day, that's whenever you're going to get those superintendents, okay, or human resources directors, whoever you're going to speak with, okay? This one's huge. Are there enough stops? Are there enough stops? This bare minimum on your route, you should have 25 stops on a regular route and then 10 on a Friday. And I say minimum because why? Some can fall through.
Home address.
Home address. What? Not open. Doors are locked. We pull up and the business is out of business. Did I do my pack call? That would have saved me some time, right? Did I look at them in the Google Maps? Is it a home address? I should have looked at that, right? But sometimes it's still, we did the pack, we did look at Google Maps and it showed a business and then we drive there and there's no business. Or they got COVID and they shut the doors. I don't know. It happens. But what happens whenever I run out of stops? If I only have 18 on my route and I told my SA I was going to do 18 stops, but now 3 of them are locked doors, I ran out of stops. Now what?
Probably have to input it in manually.
Yeah, but am I going to do that? What's the likelihood of me doing that?
It'll take a long time. Got to create another route.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that though, am I? I'm going to be like, well, I ran out of stops. Guess I'm going to go home.
I can tell you for my thing is if I don't get to all my stops on my pass routes, I go back to one of those and hit up those.
Man, I like that, Ben.
And then
That
if
might be
I
why you're having
like
some success out there, sir.
I keep myself busy, but like today I've only put on like 8 stops. I went over to one. They've got a parking spot for the decision maker, no car. I'm not even gonna stop in, not even kind of waste my time on that just yet. But right after lunch, I plan on going back out after this meeting. I plan on going back out, hitting up a few more. So,
I like it.
and I'll enter all of that in kind of manually because the route's kind of done at this point. It was just kind of a quick and easy route that I did today.
So I
So,
might suggest that on the night before, like on Thursday night, if you have time, you can go back and look at your routes from the last week, the 3 routes that you got to, and then add those to your Friday route because it's not super difficult to add them, right? So then you would have them
no.
all there. What's the bad part about having way too many? Like I have 75 on my route. What's the problem with that?
So the biggest issue for me is that either one, I've gotten an appointment or something like that, and then I just run out of time. Come 5 o'clock, most of those businesses are now closed, unless you get the ones that are open from like 4 p.m. onward,
Well, that's not a
that
problem though, right? Because you're getting
no,
results. We're not mad about that. That's good. You're getting some
no.
results.
But, I run out of time at that point because, some other stops took a little bit longer, so I can't hit every single one that I would like to.
Why would we want to discourage a relatively new agent, especially a new agent, for having 75 stops on their route?
They tend to pick and choose, and then you're jumping all over.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Our route isn't optimized. I haven't maximized my gas money. Oh, I don't really feel like going in that one. No, we make those decisions ahead of time. And then,
Let me speak to having too few and too many from Agent Tony. That guy existed, right?
can you hear him, Ryder?
So,
Okay, cool. He said yes.
so having too few stops and I would get to the end, I am my best justifier of my time that, you know what? I'm gonna go home and I'm really gonna do some more research on the next. I'm really gonna go get prepared for tomorrow, or there's this stuff I could do for follow-up, or I'll get there and I'll do some email. Like I have it all planned out. And as soon as my butt goes through that door, I'm like, what's in the fridge? And you know what? Just real quick, let me just, is there anything on? I'm gonna take 20 minutes and just kind of reset myself. And then 2 hours later, it's 5 o'clock or it's 4 o'clock. And you're like, wow, there's really only an hour left now. There's no sense in really starting anything. Maybe that's just me, but I promise you, the new agents have a little bit of new agent Tony in them. That is happening. Okay. Now, if you have too many, I had that as well. I'm a goal-oriented person. This business is built around goal-oriented people. So when I would have all of those stops and I only got to a third of them, I kind of felt like I didn't really get done today what I really wanted to get done today. Even though if I went to 25 places and set 3 appointments, not bad. But I didn't get through the 75 that I had on my route. So there's that sweet spot, right? And I wasn't smart enough to pick and choose. I would just go.
But I think that does happen.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that does
It
happen.
does now because you have a lot more research.
Yeah.
And let me tell you the ones that they'll go to. They'll go to the follow-up ones. Right? One thing I can tell you for sure, I lost some really good people who just stopped doing new prospecting. They got stuck in all they did was follow-ups. And it's not a problem in the beginning, right? But as you go, you've got to continually be adding new prospects. That if you continually follow up, a lot of times you just have somebody that's too nice to tell you no. And they're just gonna keep wasting your time with a smile on their face, giving you some hope. Right? Everybody knows what fool's gold is. So that, I mean, make sense? Okay, that's all I got.
All right. So we suggest having whatever your commitment was on your 10 blocks plus at least 10%. Okay. So sweet spot might be between 30 and 40, but not 75. You shouldn't have 75 on one route. Okay. Oh, I'm going to break that up between today and tomorrow. Just have a route for today and let's go hit those. Okay. And then anything that's left over, let's pop it to the next day. Okay. And then the last thing is your leads have quality research and questions. This is the last question that we check as a supervisor, and it's usually the one that we can't say yes to. because, oh, I'm going to add research tonight or I'm going to add research later. But do we actually get that done? Okay. And let's be honest, how many of us are wanting to go home on a Monday and work on routes and research, and then our supervisor's going to check that too? Okay. So we need to be conscientious of that. Make sure that you're getting that research done so that you're ready to answer those questions. So when they can look at your route, we want to be able to see all of this information. Okay. So they've got 2 locations. I actually put the hours in there so they could see it. Okay. And then I've got my questions. What's your favorite sports athlete to work with? Okay. Do some sportsmen listen and perform better? And then this one is showing that I had walk-in. So it has the date and then what I did during that walk-in, because we copy your work site walk-in information into the research box so that you can see it all together at one time instead of having to click on the journal. Okay. When I was an agent, that's what we did. I like it because then it's all in one spot. Okay. So when you're looking at this and you're seeing what's going on in these leads, I should be able to see my questions and what I can ask them whenever I first walk into that business. Okay. I'm actually going to pull up another thing that I did with my team.
So also when you add that to the box, it doesn't disappear when you close the case.
Correct.
If you leave it in your walk-in, everything disappears when that case is closed at 100%. So you lose all of the information from what happened if you don't copy.
What did I call that, you guys? Forget that. Research box examples. There we go. Okay. So this would be a good example of a research box. And it's just an example, but you're showing the best time to reach them and then any kind of notes that you'd have about their hours, right? So in this auto body shop, they close from 1 to 2 so they can have lunch, they can do training with their people. And then early morning and late afternoons, theirs are terrible for auto body shops. Why? Because all their customers are dropping off, picking up, right? So you need to go between these 2 hours, okay? And whenever I did my pack, I got my information verified. What's the date? I did have to update something, so I wrote that note. And then what are my questions here? What kind of questions can I ask that person in my business? And then what kind of research? I should not have to copy paste the About Us section. You can give bullet points that I know, like some more information that I can answer or ask whenever I'm in the situation and I'm talking to people.
We just add.
Yeah.
So lots of sayings, lots of Tonyisms. My favorite one here is the dullest pencil remembers more than the sharpest mind. You don't have to remember it. You've got a research box for it. Type it in there, and then before you go in the business, got it, right? Now you're in the business and you have those good things to say. If you did the research, let's say you went to the web page of the business and they won the 2024 Small Business Award in XYZ County, right? They're proud of it. It's on their web page. So I put that down as, okay, this is what they did. They won this. That's exciting. Then I go to the Facebook page or somewhere on social media and they've been recognized by the Boys and Girls Club for donating to the 5K run each of the last 3 years. Another good one. I have that as a talking point. Reason she puts it as questions is because rapport is not built by statements. It's built by questions because questions facilitate a conversation. So when that DM comes out, if you've read your research, person right here in your face, if you start with your 30-second commercial, you've done it wrong. It should be Bob, Mary, whatever. Nice to meet you. Hey, congratulations on winning the 2024 Small Business Award in St. Charles County for XYZ businesses. Man, that speaks to you as a businessman or woman. Also, I want to say thank you for donating to a great cause in the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's a wonderful organization. I just have a quick question for you. Do you run any of those 5Ks? End with open-ended question to facilitate the conversation, right? And this is where you start. You don't start with 30-second commercial. You don't start with anything insurance. You start with, let me tell you how awesome you and your business are. And where you get that is out of the research box that you put the information that you swear you're going to remember, that 12 walk-ins later, it's gone, right? Now, let's say the research for after you've gone in. This is all pre-walk-in. Let's talk about after. So I go in, I have a great conversation with the DM. They're like, come back next week and let's have a conversation and let me see, I want to talk to so-and-so or whatever, right? In your conversation with them, you find out that their son, little Billy, who plays for the Baby Braves, they're going to have a baseball tournament this weekend, and he's pitching. Okay, great. When you walk out, anything like that that I can tie to that business owner, specifically to them and/or a conversation we had, I will put that in the research box. Because when I come back on my follow-up, I usually will say two things. It'll go, hey, Bob, I just wanted to come back like I promised you I would do. I want to make sure I'm good at following up. Some people are afraid to go back in and follow up because you think it's you're being too pushy or too. No, you need to let them know I'm doing what I said I'm doing. That's what you can expect. Right? Follow up like I told you I would. By the way, how did little Billy do in the Braves this weekend? Did he pitch a good game? I didn't remember that, but what I did remember is to read it on the research on my before I walked in the door. Does this make sense? That's the power of what this does for you. We used to just have to try to remember that. That's horrible for me. So this is a great tool. Okay, dullest pencil. This guy. Sharpest mind. Epic's research box. So, all right, that's it. But
All right, so those are all the check boxes. Does anybody have any questions on what your SAs or GAs are going to be looking at whenever they're doing a route inspection? Any things that were like, I don't really know how to achieve that or make that happen? Okay, last thing I want to bring up to you guys is the 5-step follow-up. And I don't know how many in this room have heard this before, but it's something that Bruce, whenever he was our trainer, really harped on and focused on. So I just saw it in my notes and it's a really good one. That happens to me a lot. I'm like, ooh, that's so good. We forgot about that, right? Okay, so 5-step follow-up. So what Tony was just talking about, I wrote down some notes, like the kids in this sports team, whatever, and then I'm going to go back in. Okay, so when I have my notes here, it says that Jacob came out of an appointment and I built some rapport, but when I asked for the presentation, he said he wasn't interested and then he disengaged. I remember that happening. He was like, no, I'm not interested. He turned around and walked away. I was like, well, that was a good disengagement. He was like, I'm done talking, right? So whenever we went outside and we were talking, Bruce was like, okay, well, next time you're going to go back and you're going to do the 5-step follow-up. So what is the 5-step follow-up? The first step is rapport. You're going to go back in and you're going to build rapport again. Okay, so whatever I built rapport on, I have my questions in here. Hey, I see that you worked with this Sean Woodson. He's a UFC fighter, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I said because it was several years ago, but you're going to go back in and you're going to build more rapport. Okay. And then the second thing that you're going to do, number 2, is you're going to refresh the value. So you're going to restate your 30-second commercial, but without stopping, you're going to go into the objection that he gave you. To isolate and crush the objection. Okay. So you're going to restate what he said as his objection. Okay. He said he was not interested. I'm saying, I realized that last time you were not interested, but I realized that you and I, we were at a bad time. You had an appointment coming out. You had another appointment coming in, and it was just bad timing. So I want to know when a better time would be. Do I need to get on your schedule for an appointment? Right. So I've isolated and I'm crushing the objection. His objection was he's not interested, but really it was because he had somebody else there. Okay. And then if he says, no, my tie down, that was the 4th one. My tie down is, do I need to set an appointment so I can get enough time with you? Or what is the actual objection? Right. And then whatever that new objection is, I'm going to handle it. That's the 5th part. So 1, rapport. 2, refresh the value with the 30-second commercial. 3, you're going to isolate and crush the objection that they gave you in the first place. 4, you're going to ask for what you want. Use the tie down and ask for what you want. And then 5, whatever they give you as the new objection, you're going to work with those rebuttals. Okay, you're going to figure out what the actual objection is. A lot of times, if you've been in this business long enough and you've done enough follow-ups, even if they've told you no the first time, their first reason to say no wasn't really the reason that they said no. Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I don't have time. And then later you find out, oh, well, we've tried this before and we had bad service. Or my uncle does Aflac or whatever the case is. Like that's not, they didn't say that in the beginning. We didn't know what the original objection was going to be until we get deeper into it, right? A lot of times that no, I'm not interested is very impulsive and it's very right off the cuff. If you get that a lot in your walk-ins, 100% you need to evaluate your rapport. 100% it's rapport. Before you ask. They don't like you yet. They got to like you before they're going to spend some time with you, right? So if you have overwhelming in a day, overwhelming every time you talk to a decision maker, they say they're not interested. It's not because they're not interested. It's because you haven't been interesting. Okay. So reevaluate that. Like it's probably your rapport. Look at your rapport questions. Look at, are you doing it on the front end or are you waiting until they say no and then you're building rapport with them on the back end? I'm not saying back end rapport is bad, but it's not going to get you what you want because they already said no. Right? Okay. So when we're doing these routes, just realize that we're going to be doing route inspections. And especially this week with Zane coming in, we want to have good, solid routes that are going to help you to be as successful in the field as possible. What questions can I answer for you guys on Zoom, here in the room, anything like that? Everybody's going to have star routes.
I just wanted to bring up a point because I used to think the same thing that you couldn't see your past walk-in information once you submit an account down, but you can.
Yes.
So it's always going to be in
The
the
journal.
activity history unrelated. Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that
Yes, thank you, Bailey. So I don't know if you guys could hear her. She said that whenever you submit an account, like because Christy was saying, if you copy it in the research box, you don't lose it whenever you close the account. You can still look at the activity history in the account, but for the however long processing time it is for the section 125, and then they're issuing the number and creating the account, it is gone. So if you don't have that in your research box, you do have to go multiple steps to find it, but it is there. You just have to go a little bit further. If you can't find it, let us know. We can help you. Any other questions? Thanks for those of you that are here for our training. Appreciate your time to work on that. The only other thing I would say is that we were going to talk a little bit about with our essays and GAs for feedback on what we did last week, or I'm sorry, on Monday with the training on the 3 classes. And then agents from you guys, I would not be mad about any feedback on training topics or ideas for training, because the whole point of training is to help you become better. And I realize a lot of times we don't know what we need to do to be better. But if there's a missing piece and you're like, man, I really wish we could learn more about whatever. Portia gave me a couple of really good ideas last Friday. So don't hesitate to do that. We do want you guys to be as successful as possible. Sometimes we forget things like the 5-step follow-up. That's really good. And it just leaves my brain. Yes, Jericho. Yeah.
What is too deep of a question? Why are you telling me I've been getting feedback that I asked you even question. And so what you do I want you to get them to open up.
Yeah.
I don't want to dig too.
Sure. So for those of you guys on Zoom, Jericho asked what's too deep of a question, because you don't want to get them too emotional whenever you're asking those kind of questions and getting them to talk. Yes, you want them to open up to you, but I would keep it, you don't want your rapport to take 30 minutes per case. Right? So when you are thinking of the questions, you want them to be excited about your question and to be interested in what you have to say, but also realize you could spend a really long time talking to just 1 or 2 people all day, and then you're not getting what you need done. So keep that in mind. I would maybe think of how would I answer that question if I was the business owner. Would that be a very in-depth conversation, or would that be a 5-minute conversation? That's where you're going to be able to judge that a little bit better, as opposed to emotional versus not emotional, because emotional questions are fine. Why are you involved in Habitat for Humanity? I mean, that could trigger a very emotional response from somebody. Well, I was homeless when I was little and I mean, that I don't know.
Like, along the lines, like, what are your outcomes? For you? What makes you want to be educational supporter?
Sure. So why would you want to be involved in children's education in the future? That totally makes sense. So that's not a too deep of a question. I think that one's perfectly fine. I think as long as it's not like, I mean, you could potentially trip onto something super emotional anyway, regardless of what question you're asking. But you want to primarily think about it, you guys. You need to be paying attention to how much time you're spending in a lead. Because you're supposed to be going to 25 businesses in a day. So if you spend a half an hour at 25 businesses in a day, that means you're going to be working for 15 hours. Because you're going to be driving to them, right? So there's drive time. You might eat some lunch or something. Who's working 15 hours? I can tell you right now, not very many of us are working 15 hours. I don't want to work 15 hours. That's a lot. Thanks, Reggie. I don't want to work another 15 hours. And I sure as heck don't want to be talking for that long either, right? So your voice will get tired. So really be conscious of what your time is worth. Okay. So you want to find that sweet spot, 10, 15 minutes. And then if you're not getting anywhere, we're rolling out. I especially think that with gatekeepers, because I really love my gatekeepers and you want to build a good relationship with them, but also we all have jobs to do. And if you are taking up that gatekeeper's time and you're standing there for 45 minutes shooting the shit, their boss is going to be real mad, right? So just keep that in mind. You don't want to get them in trouble. Then they're not going to be your best friend anymore because you just got them in trouble. Okay. All right. So if you guys have any other feedback on training topics or things that we might want to be looking at as leadership, I definitely recommend that you guys shout at me. And then let's see, Jesse and Bailey and Ryder. And then Matt, if you have any feedback from the training on Monday, if you guys want to do that, we're just going to meet leadership wise for a few minutes. Everybody else can get back to it. Make sure you guys get set on your routes and stuff like that. Okay. Ben, any questions? You all good?
My only real true question is I've tried to optimize my routes to put those businesses that are closing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon up front because they're only open from like 7:30 in the morning
Right.
till 2 p.m. The problem is that as I'm trying to say, go here, it's then throwing the optimization all the way out the window, and that's where I'm getting the red banners, or I'm looking at one of the routes that I did just this past week, where I tried to set a few of the businesses that closed at 2. It optimized it and threw it all the way down at the list because it felt that, hey, we're going to send you all the way around here. I passed that place like 2 or 3 times without realizing it was right there. And then
Yeah,
I come to go back to it and it's, oh, now we're closed
sure.
type deal.
Sure.
So
So I would suggest one thing that you can do is change the time on the actual lead so that it moves it where you want it to go. Do you know what I'm
well,
talking about on that?
yeah, so I've
Okay.
tried that before. The problem is that as soon as I do that, I get an error saying that, hey, you are now, overlapping time constraints. This isn't feasible type stuff. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, there shouldn't be a reason why, but
Sure. What
it's
about whenever
telling me
you're
that there is.
if you don't change the time and you're looking at the map view, does it show you going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Yeah, it'll show me like, oh, you're gonna hit all of these on one side, and then you're basically gonna loop around, hit all those, and then you're going right back the other way to hit on something that's, another 4 blocks down. It's kind
Okay,
of looping me a lot in a lot of these places.
sure. Um, I would get with your SA writer will help you if that's happening, but you could maybe potentially drag and drop that spot. It may not be one where you can just click optimize and it optimize it for you. You may have to do more manual on that one, especially
Okay.
if you see it going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You may have to drag it to where it's going to be number 1. Because you can
And
drop in
I've,
the route. That might
yeah,
be
I've
easier for you.
tried that, and as soon as I drag it to where I want it to be, it'll re-optimize it, and then it'll shoot it right back down to where it said it should go again. So
It's annoying.
it is. So what I've kind of figured out my whole way is I look through it and see where the addresses are, and if they're not too far, and then I just go out of
Yeah,
order on
sure.
there.
I mean, it's
But
not a foolproof system for sure,
no.
but it is better than just like pulling out a map and trying to navigate that way. But it is not foolproof for sure.